Brought to you in part by Coors Extra Gold, the beer with a full tilt taste. And by Pizza Hut, making it great. And by Diet Pepsi, the right one. And by Shelter Insurance. And by New Keystone and Keystone Light, bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
Welcome back to Alpine Garage Sports. Today is Saturday, and we are going to reach into the mailbag and pull out a few comments and questions from some of our subscribers that I thought may be interesting, and maybe you'd want to help me down in the comments answer these questions. Well, before we do that, I'm always going to ask you, if you haven't already subscribed yet, you may have seen a few videos. Hopefully you like them, you're getting something out of them. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would help out this channel grow. We are trying to be as involved with CU as we can possibly be this year, and we are well on our way. We just passed 4,000 subs, and we're screaming, and I appreciate every single one of you very much. Also, like this video if you find it to be helpful at all. First, we're going to go to a comment from a subscriber by the name of Capital R. Actually, it's just R. Can you imagine Dylan Edwards, Hunter, Alton McLean, and Hankerson having a trick play in a pistol or a wishbone? So yes, I can. In fact, we talked about the wishbone probably a couple of months ago on this channel, because Colorado actually built its championship season on the wishbone. During the 80s, if you were winning college football games, if you were winning championships, you had some sort of the wishbone or the eye bone or the T-bone, or, you know, there's a million iterations of the wishbone. And Coach Mack at the time decided that when he took over Colorado, that they needed to go to a more modern offense and come up with a triple option, which is what he did. He put the wishbone in. There is a hole. He knows the hole. He sees the option. He can take that really quickly and get max yardage out of it. So I think he would be perfect for that offense. Then we have Dylan Edwards, speed back. We have Smoke, right? Smoke's coming, and you got a little bit of heat there. Alton McCaskill's coming. You have a lot of heat there, right? So, and then you have Hankerson, you have Offerdahl, you have a bunch of tools in that mix that you could switch those out. Now, could I imagine it? Yes. Is it going to happen? Probably not. I would say this. I think that it would be something that would be interesting down in the red zone with key teams, that we could probably get away with this, because a triple option down in the red zone with the quarterback that we have and the running backs, I think lights out. We're scoring a touchdown every time. Obviously, the reason why the wishbone for the most part faded away is because defenses got faster and teams started replacing size with speed to basically eliminate this threat. So now only like service schools, for instance, military service schools use this. Georgia Tech has been known to use it occasionally as well. I think we could institute it. So yes, absolutely are. Let's do this. Let's have at least one triple option play in the bag, so that we can have fun with this, especially down in the red zone. Change of day on this one, but I wanted to throw out Lawrence RBE, who has always been a great, fantastic subscriber for me, and also great commenter on not only this channel, but many other channels. So go check out Lawrence. Make sure you give Lawrence his love. He asked, I was going to ask, what does stadium expansion look like for Folsom Field? And although I'm not connected to the school, and I haven't been privy to any of the conversations, I've obviously been around when the stadium expansions happen. And this last one, which ended in 2016, really did a big facelift on the north side of the stadium. But what it did was it actually dropped the stadium, the overall stadium seating capacity by about 1,000 seats. It was a $150 million project. Most of it went into building the Champion Center and renovating all of the football facilities, including the Touchdown Club, which is that northernmost building. It used to have bleachers in front of it, and they changed it to load boxes and also a suite. Spending that money to renovate, it also dropped seating capacity a little bit. So the reason why I bring that up is because CU has always been a school that is based the feelings of the university and the look of the university, and it's special in that circumstance. So we're not like Michigan or Ohio State, where we have to cram every single person that we can into the stadium. The stadium experience is more important than the stadium capacity. So that said, the stadium does need some renovating. The stadium is a very old stadium. Many of you know that it was built in 1924. We're actually going into our 100th season this year. And although it has been expanded and it has been rebuilt several times, you can tell that many parts of the facility, many parts of the stadium, they need to be revamped. And I know that's part of CU's future proposals probably, is to update those facilities. For instance, the bathrooms are, if you ever go in there, they look like World War II barracks. The pee troughs probably haven't been changed since 1924. But that all adds to the aesthetic of the building. But at some point, you will need to make sure that you're reinforcing the structure. That way, if we go to expand it anymore, we'll have a pretty steady foundation to expand on. As you can tell by looking at Folsom Field, the east end of the stadium is the most built up part of it. And the reason why is because the Flatirons is basically everything about Boulder. So when you're in the stadium, no matter where you're sitting in the stadium, unless you're sitting on the west side of the stadium, you're going to be able to see the mountains. You're going to be able to see the Flatirons. You're going to be able to see the Front Range. And I don't think at any point that we would want to expand that side of the stadium up a whole lot to take away the views, because you can actually see the Front Range from the lower seats in the stadium in most cases. So to raise those up even another 20, 30 feet would erase that view for high-paying people that get seats down low, like 50-yard line, east side, stuff like that. Where I do see stadium expansion probably happening is the corners of the northern end zone. So if you take a look at that, you have the Champion Center over here to the right, and this is the brand new facility that was just built. This is where Prime's office is. This is where all the coaching facilities are. This is where the CU Performance Center is. Locker rooms, stuff like that are all in this building. But you can see between there and Dow Ward, which is right in the center, which is the touchdown club. This section right here was also renovated in 2016. And most of the seating was taken out where the boxes are, but there's still seats in the center. Now you can fill this gap in between the Champion Center and Dow Ward. And you can also fill in between Dow Ward and the west bleachers. So those areas right there you could expand on. What I'm thinking is, just by looking at the seats, you might be able to get 5,000 seats out of that. So if you were to redo this just a little bit and get about 5,000 more seats, keep in mind that these seats would probably go for between $80 and $120 a piece for most games. So let's just say an average of 100. So 5,000 seats at $100. Basically, that expansion is going to net you $500,000 just in seat revenue for 6 home games. So you're talking about an extra $3 million a year in revenue. And then you have concessions on top of that, which is probably going to be about another $100,000, $120,000 on top of that. So inconsequential from that standpoint. But $3 million, and let's say that you get 10 years out of a renovation before I start looking at it again. So that's going to be $30 million in a decade. I don't know that that's going to be enough money for them to go through this expansion right now. Why would we not want to build a 80,000 seat stadium? Minus the 90s, and then minus basically now, okay? CU has had a problem filling the stadium. So therefore, when we have these spikes where we're jumping up and we're really hot, and we have a decade-long run of success, we're going to sell that stadium out, and there's going to be a reserve as well. Same with season tickets, because Colorado's not a huge football state. Now, minus the Denver Broncos and minus, CU at this point now, if you look at high schools, we don't have a lot, if any, super grand high school football stadiums. Like in Oklahoma and in Texas and in Ohio and in Florida, these high schools have like small college football stadiums. These high schools do. But here in Colorado, many of our high schools actually have one stadium that they share. Football is not the mainstay of Colorado like it is in Texas and in Oklahoma and in the South. It's just not that way. So for us to build, a 60, 80, 100,000 seat stadium is improbable. It's impractical. We'd never sell it out. And quite frankly, it would be probably an abomination on an already beautiful campus. So here's my answer to you, Lawrence. Rebuild the infrastructure of the stadium so we can get a lot more use out of it. And then maybe even fill in the northern end zones to get in that kind of that low price but capacity seating when we need it. If we make it into the top 25 consistently over the next 3-4 years, we're going to be able to recruit coaches and recruit athletes for a long enough time to be able to pay off a stadium renovation like this. And then hopefully we can keep this prime going. And I say prime as a pun. And that might last us another decade. But we need to keep that prime going after that in order to stay relevant enough to be able to fill a 60 or 80,000 seat stadium. And we haven't shown that we can do that yet. Folsom Field is a special place. I cannot describe it to those people who have not been there. But if you haven't been there and you're watching this video, you need to find a way to get there. There are still tickets available for this year for some of the games that are not very expensive, in the $100 to $150 range. For like Arizona, for instance. So you should check those games out and at least make it to Folsom Field this year. And you can check that out for yourself and kind of see what I'm talking about how special this stadium is. And the last one is from a very dear subscriber that comments without fail on every single video. And that is Freddie D. Freddie sometimes comments 2 or 3 times on the same video and brings up very valid points. This comment was in response to the video about the single game ticket sales for Nebraska and their home games that we had. And Freddie said, the economic impact is going to be phenomenal for Boulder. I imagine unseen in over 20 years with each home game being sold out. And I would say, Freddie, that is absolutely right. Now, what is the difference between a sold out stadium now and a sold out stadium, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago? Not that there were many. You're talking about a lot more people traveling to Boulder probably than normally had been doing, because our fan base now is global. So there are people going to be coming to games from outside of the United States, which isn't something that happens a lot. So when you have people coming in from outside, they can't just go home after the game. They aren't just showing up at game time to tailgate. They're hitting hotels, they're hitting restaurants, they're hitting all the entertainment venues. When you're looking at something like the DNVR bar, which I think all of you know because you watch their live streams every day, you know that bar is in downtown Denver, and it's a very well-known bar. But recently, especially, you can tell just from what they say, their bar has been going crazy exponentially with this whole University of Colorado phenomenon that's going on right now. And then also you throw in the Nuggets as well. But the economic impact for businesses like that is unbelievable. I mean, Prime is bringing untold fortunes to businesses that were basically just kind of running day to day. Now they have to figure out how they're going to A, manage this, and B, take advantage of this so that they can make as much money as possible during this time span, because this is an opportunity for everyone that wants to be involved from a business standpoint to get involved. All you have to do is have a plan, get involved, and you're going to reap the rewards. And all of these traveling people coming into Boulder right now are going to take Boulder and the Denver area to new heights. Without a doubt, Freddie, that was a great comment. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Well, that is a wrap from Alpine Garage Sports. We're going to do this every week. I'm going to pull out 3 or 4 comments and we're going to talk about them. And I would like you to comment down below too on these topics that we brought up today and kind of how you feel about it. And we will see you in the next video. And if you haven't already heard, we coming.